Hey everybody, welcome to Jacob's Quest, and today I just want to cover a topic that's sort of been a thing in the Marvel fandom for a couple years now. Well, probably more than a couple years, if we're being honest. And this all started with some tweets that James Gunn made just a few weeks ago, actually several weeks ago now. But you know, I don't know, it's coming across my radar now, and I'm like, you know what? Let's just address this topic because I've seen this come up again and again and again. People have very strong opinions about this. So I don't know, I hope that you accept the information as it's being presented, because I'm trying to be as factual as possible here. So it all starts here, where James Gunn is talking about different actors that have been both in DC and in the MCU, and someone tries to add an actor saying they were both in Shazam and in Agent Carter. James Gunn says, not including pre-WandaVision shows in the MCU. Okay, and this is of course where it all begins. Then someone says Agent Carter and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. are MCU. He says, according to whom? According to Marvel, also according to Disney so far, but whatever you want to watch. And James Gunn says, that's incorrect. There was never any coordination between the earlier TV stuff and the cinematic side of Marvel like there is now that they're all under the preview of Marvel Studios. Okay, so that's what he said. James Gunn, the guy who, by the way, here's the other thing. A lot of people think that he only worked on the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. That's not true. Okay, he worked very, very much involved with it, both Infinity War and Endgame. He was very involved with both of those movies as well. Okay, so he's not like this guy who just like showed up for 2 movies and then hasn't had anything to do with Marvel. It's like, no, he's in the process. He's talking with Kevin Feige and the Russo brothers and all of that stuff. Like he's with them. Okay, so regardless of what you think about James Gunn, like as a person or whatever else, he knows what he's talking about when it comes to the Marvel Studios movies, canon, all the stuff. Okay. It seems silly to think otherwise, but that hasn't stopped people. If you actually look at the quote tweets, of course, there's me where I kind of broke all this down on Twitter, but you see a lot of people say like, this is so stupid, at least watch the shows before saying shit like this, or this idiot has obviously never watched any of the shows, or we're not going to act like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. did not have an episode that played into Age of Ultron. So, you know, here's the thing about this. James Gunn is right. Okay? Now, before you like get all mad about it, if you're an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. fan, and I know this is like a heated debate that's been going on for years, let's talk about exactly what happened, okay? There was this production company, okay, called Marvel Television. Okay, Marvel Television, its own production company, was run by the umbrella Marvel Entertainment Company. Okay, and then in 2019, Marvel Television was folded into Marvel Studios. Marvel Studios is the production company that makes all the movies, all the MCU content. And now, only in 2019, I think, Kevin Feige was the president of all Marvel, okay? Entertainment, studios, television, all Marvel, okay? Because that's the thing you gotta understand. Marvel is not one singular company. It's not all under the term of Marvel Studios, or especially back then. These were all separate things underneath the umbrella of Marvel Entertainment, okay? So what this all means is that Marvel Television was like way back here. Blade the series. You guys remember that show? My point is, they were the ones responsible for both the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. They were responsible for Agent Carter, and they were responsible for working with Netflix on all the Netflix shows. Okay, so all of that was Marvel Television. And then in 2019, they were folded into Marvel Studios. Okay, so what this all really means. Okay, so let's see. Marvel Television, as we know it in the past decades, by the way, this was, December 2019, will be no more, with its slate dwindling over the past year and its head, Jeff Loeb, set to depart. The television-focused Marvel division will be phased out. The Marvel TV projects that are currently in production will continue, but any further development is being scrapped. As a result, a significant portion of the unit's staff are being laid off. Sources said the executives impacted are said to include Court Lane, Marsha Griffin, Mark Ambrose, Tom Leiber, and Amy Carlson. Marvel TV's blah 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 blah. This includes the announced 4 animated series and the live-action Hellstrom for Hulu in the last season of ABC's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which will still be made. Other Marvel TV staffers are being reassigned, sources said. So basically, all of this kind of just says what I just told you, is that everything that happened with Marvel TV, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., all the Hulu stuff, all the Netflix stuff, everything was being shut down and being brought over to Marvel Studios. Okay, so now Marvel Studios, that production company, this has its own Wikipedia page, entirely separate entity. Now that runs Marvel Television. Okay, so that's why all your Disney Plus shows, your WandaVision, all this stuff, and that's exactly what it says here, not including pre-WandaVision shows, because WandaVision was the first Marvel Studios television show. Okay, so basically it all breaks down like this. Okay, Marvel, Kevin Feige, he will probably never ever come out publicly and say Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and those Netflix shows, they're not really canon, I don't really count those, I hate those shows. He'll probably never say that publicly. Okay, in fact, he'll even give little winks and nods every once in a while. Like in Endgame, many people note that Jarvis is seen in that show, and he was in the Agent Carter show, the same actor who played Jarvis. So, you know, many people say like, oh look, he gave like a little nudge, a little wink to the audience, saying like, hey, if you were a fan of that show, that's great, that's wonderful, enjoy what you enjoy. Here's a little dog treat for you, right? Little cookie thrown your way. That's great. That's awesome, you know. But Kevin Feige was not the producer on those shows. He was not the guiding visionary on those shows. He didn't say what happened. And yes, all of those shows, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Peggy Carter, they all had little references and even full cameos of Marvel MCU characters. Nick Fury showed up. Lady Sif showed up. Several others, I think, showed up too. The point is, all of those cameos were done by Marvel Television, which was being run by Marvel Entertainment, not by Marvel Studios, which was being run by Kevin Feige. So basically the point here is that if Kevin Feige didn't create it, it's probably not technically canon. And even James Gunn here, the guy who works with Kevin Feige and the Russo brothers, even he's like, yeah, that's basically what he's telling you now, is that like those things are not really counted, you know, they were not really part of the vision here, you know, they're kind of just made by these other people who were within the same umbrella of the company, but they're like in that building across the street way over there, you know. So a lot of people love to argue this. A lot of people love to say that like, oh, because an actor showed up and played the same character in this TV show, that means it has to count, it all has to count. But like, let's be honest, these Marvel movies, okay, the Marvel movies will never reference the Defenders Netflix show. Okay, that's not really gonna happen. There are rumors of what's his name, Charlie Cox being playing Matt Murdock again in the next Spider-Man movie, and yeah, that's gonna be awesome. Okay, they're probably gonna try to integrate some of this because more than anything, Marvel cares about the fans. Marvel knows what the fans want, and yeah, that show and everything that happened in it, it was great, it was awesome. It was not Kevin Feige's show, okay? But if he can bring the actor in there and he knows that it will please the fans, they'll probably bring it in there. They might not ever reference anything that happened in that show because like that was not his show, but they'll like, yeah, okay, we can bring the actor back. He can play the character again. Maybe he'll have a different costume. Maybe, you know, maybe stuff will be slightly different than it was in that Netflix show. But that's just kind of the deal here. You know, so like if you enjoy those shows and they are part of like your personal headcanon as a fan, then go ahead, because like they're very much intentionally not like coming out of the in the movies and directly like showing all these huge contradicting things. And I think that, you know, eventually there's gonna be a line where they're gonna Like, okay, something is clearly contradicting something that happened over here. But I feel like they're trying to tiptoe around that as much as possible because they don't want to upset the fans. They're not like, you know, they don't hate those TV shows. They just weren't theirs. You know, they want those fans to enjoy what you enjoy, have your fun. You know, we're gonna try to make it fit our puzzle. It's not like you know, that those puzzle pieces over there were like made by a different puzzle company. So they're like a little bit wonky. They don't quite fit our bigger puzzle over here, but we're gonna try our best to make it happen, because why upset people, right? And that seems to be what Marvel's doing. Okay, so yeah, they're not probably technically canon, but you can watch the shows and they mostly fit. They kind of sort of fit. They'll never be referenced. You know, Kevin Feige will probably never come out and say like, oh yeah, remember that time that Luke Cage did that thing? Well, that's gonna be referenced over here in this movie over here. Like, that's probably never gonna happen. Okay, but it's okay. It's fine. You can still enjoy the show. It's sort of like a semi-canon, if you will. You know, like, we're never gonna acknowledge it because we didn't make it, but like, also why shake up the boat if we don't have to? And in a very interesting way, and I'm gonna have to bring this back to Star Wars because I do that with everything, but you know, Star Wars had a very similar-ish situation with the Legends content. The way that Lucasfilm chose to do with this is that they just, all the Legends content, they just chose to say none of that counts. None of it. Just they ripped the band-aid off immediately instead of trying to tiptoe around it and keep trying to keep those sections of the fan base happy. They just ripped the band-aid off and they just went ahead and said like, nope, not counts. Psh, ripped off, you know. And so a lot of people got mad, and even to this day a lot of Star Wars sections are made up of Legends fans who are still very upset about that. So, you know, Marvel Studios seems to have taken the opposite approach and is instead trying to tiptoe around it and just like, no, it's fine. It's fine. We'll never mention it, but it's fine. Now, admittedly, it would have been much more difficult for Star Wars to do that because a lot of the Legends content would have completely overridden the movies they were trying to make at the time. So they kind of didn't have a choice in a way. But yeah, anyways, so there you go. I hope that this cleared something up for people who might have still been confused or still had questions. And yes, James Gunn knows what he's talking about when it comes to this stuff. You can think whatever else you want to think about him, but he's not wrong here. And the idea that a lot of people on Twitter are going to sit here and argue with the guy who like he obviously knows much more about this than you do. I don't understand the thought process, I guess the arrogance that it comes to like, oh, no, I'm gonna argue with this guy. I can prove him wrong because I watched a TV show. It's very, very silly. But anyways, yeah, just enjoy what you enjoy. Marvel is not gonna try and step on your toes. Eventually they might, you know, they might want to like do a character, and that might be like, well, that's not the same that happened in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., you know. And at that point, whenever that bridge gets crossed, Marvel Studios might have to just kind of shrug their shoulders and go, sorry, we want to do something here, and we didn't make that show, you know. So but really, until then, they're trying to placate as many people, you know. They're trying to keep the waters calm. But people still love to argue about it. People are still really upset. And in a way, I get it, because people don't want to feel like their invested time has now lost value. You know, they want to feel like everything, all those hours, those many hours they spent binge watching those shows, that 7-season TV show, that it really went towards something, that it counted. And I understand that, but also, you know, like, that just kind of comes with maturity. You know, you got to be an adult. You gotta like tighten up your belt, and you gotta be like, okay, fine, it's not canon, it didn't really happen. Kevin Feige had no plans for this Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. show because he was not involved in that. Fine, you know what I mean? So like, and like I said, those Daredevil rumors, Charlie Cox might show up in Spider-Man 3, like they're gonna try and throw you a bone You know, they're gonna try and like make it up to you and be like, no, look, you can still kind of have your thing. You know, I know you like it. We're trying to make you happy. You know, so it's just sort of a maturity thing. You know, there's no point in arguing with James Gunn on Twitter like that's gonna change anything about the situation, because all you have to do is look into it, and the truth is the truth. Okay, so anyways, I hope this cleared something up for you guys, and yeah, just let me know your thoughts. Let me, if you're a huge Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. fan, did this piss you off? Does it piss you off when people say it's not canon? Or are you like kind of just gonna be like, okay, like it'll be canon to me, you know? Which again, Marvel's seems to be okay with that. You know, fans want to say it's canon to themselves, then okay, you know, like they're not stepping on your toes yet, right? So anyways, let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.